Welcome to Have You Got Your Shit Together with me, Caitlin O'Ryan, the podcast that celebrates not having your shit together. On today's episode, we have June Miles-Kingston. She is a singer and drummer best known for her work with various successful bands and singers in the 1980s. She was a founding member of the post-punk group the Mo-dettes and later became a session drummer and backing vocalist for a variety of British post-punk, new wave and pop artists. She went on to play drums with Everything But the Girl, the Fun Boy 3 and the Communards. As she mentions in the podcast, there was a period when she was on Top of the Pops every single week. She then went on to study fine art at St Martin's and filmmaking at the University of Sussex. Her film Dear Miss Bassey was awarded a prize at the London Shorts Film Festival. She continues to make music and films and is writing about her musical experiences. This is a beautiful episode recorded at June's home in Brighton. In the episode, she opened up to me about the unexpected loss of her father, so you might want to tread carefully if this is something that resonates with you. I really hope you enjoyed the episode. Here's June Miles-Kingston.
So would you say that, like, first and foremost, your instrument is your voice then?
I think it is.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah, it's what I wanted to do. Because music was around me all the time anyway. And we'd all sing together. We'd be in the car and we'd all sing.
Yeah.
And, like, I would always find a harmony straight away. Wow. And then Dad would find another one.
So
and
cool.
my brothers, you know, we were always singing. And, like, we'd go to family, Christmases, parties, whatever. We were very big close family.
Yeah.
My dad came from 8, my mum came from 8.
Wow.
So we had a lot of family dues.
Yeah.
And everybody picked up something.
Yeah.
Even if it was the spoons, you know. And everybody
the only instrument
sang.
left.
And they all loved that I kind of made a career of it in a way because they're so proud of that, you know. And my mum certainly was. There was one time I said to you that she loved the Communards because that was accessible to her, kind of those kind of songs.
As opposed to the punk.
Exactly. And one time we were playing at the Royal Festival Hall.
Yeah.
So I told her to come down for the sound check, and I had a word with Jimmy and the other guys and said, let's do one of her songs and I'll get her up in the sound check.
Oh my God.
So we started playing it.
Yeah.
And she was sitting down the front. She had my 2 nieces, my brother's kids, with her, like this, you know, sort of chair height. And I said, Mum, come up.
Wow.
And she came straight up and right on cue, bang, she sang it right out in the festival hall. And she went, Shirley Bassey sang on here.
Wow. That is so cool.
Somebody filmed it, but I can't find it.
Yeah.
Such a shame.
That's so special to be able to do that for her.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
She loved it.
Wow.
So, I think, you know, when I was at school, I always wanted to be, they had little choirs, I always wanted to be in the choir. I got a part in one of the kind of shows and I was like the last turn and I was going to sing Climb Every Mountain.
Oh, Sound of Music.
Right?
Yeah.
Because our headmaster was Welsh. But yeah, I was so shy when I was a kid. I was,
really?
I was always, I was always the kid, because I had really goofy teeth, still have, glasses, and my mum used to tie my hair in a ponytail and cut my fringe so short, I looked like some, you know, hick.
It's quite trendy now, I think.
It is trendy now. I see it all the time. I think, oh my God, could have got
She
away
knew it
with
would
that.
come round ahead of a time.
So I always felt really shy. I kept my mouth shut all the time because my
Right.
teeth were so big. They used to call me Bugs at school.
Oh.
I didn't mind. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It didn't bother me. But I just didn't want to be kind of out there.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't want
Draw
to be
more
kind.
attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I used to be really quiet, and I spent all my time every night after school. I went to the library.
Wow.
I read so much.
Yeah.
Everything I could.
Yeah.
But I think that's really good for your imagination.
Oh, definitely.
You know.
Yeah.
I didn't ever think I'd be a musician. I didn't. Nobody told me you could do that.
Yeah.
I saw my mum get up at the weekends and sing on stage, but that's where it would end, you know. I was very artistic, always making things, painting things. So I went to art school.
Great.
Everybody does, you know. It's where most musicians start, really.
Yeah. So when did you start playing instruments?
It was quite late on, actually,
Okay.
because I was at East Ham Art School. It was like a tech sort of place. And I met this guy, Jim Hill, who was in his last year and he was about to go off to the National Film School.
Oh, cool.
It's the other love of my life is film. I mean, I can watch anything and everything and over and over and over.
Yeah.
I just love film so much. And it's escape. It's like reading a book or seeing a film. It's like that other world that you can escape to, and you can forget who you are or what failings you think you've got.
Transcends life, doesn't
Absolutely.
it?
So I met up with Jim. He put me in a photo that he was doing. He was setting up this photo of this 1950s group around a pinball, and I had the ponytail still. So I moved in with Jim, and it was great. It was kind of like I kind of bloomed because I had permission to be arty.
Yeah.
And like go and watch films with him. We used to go up to town and watch films, and I used to travel out to the National Film School with him a couple of days a week sometimes. And I used to I wasn't signed up, but I used to go to all the workshops and sit at the back.
Oh, wow.
Just used to go with him.
Yeah.
And I'd do like production things and work with other students to help them with costumes or sets or anything. And I remember doing a whole scene with Stephen Frears.
Wow.
It was incredible.
Yeah.
But I never got to do anything. I didn't go there to kind of learn anything. I was just hanging out and kind of soaking it all in. And then same time Jim was there, he went on to direct and write in TV. We still see each other. He was friends with Julian Temple. And Julian was about to start work on the Great Rock and Roll Swindle with the Pistols and McLaren. Yeah. And he said, do you want to come and help me with the production? I said, yeah, sure. Yeah. And he was going to pay me. So I went to work for Malcolm McLaren, effectively. And I sat in the office and helped in Glitter Best office.
Wow.
And in Soho, and kind of helped everybody get things together.
Yeah.
And he asked me to come up. Then I started to go on the set because they needed someone to photograph on the set. So I said, well, if you buy me a camera, I'll do it. So Malcolm gave me money to get a camera, and I've got some great photos.
I bet.
Nobody's seen them.
That's for a documentary later down the line.
Yeah.
Archives.
Yeah. So my other job was to get the band into filming every day.
Yeah.
Johnny wasn't part of it anymore. I knew him later on, but he wasn't part of it anymore. So I was friends with Steve and Paul. They had a flat. And I moved into a squat in Marylebone with a girl called Kate, who was also working in the office.
Yeah.
And Kate used to play for the Slits.
Right.
She's a guitarist. So she said, can you play anything? And I said, she's from America, she's from New York. She married one of my brothers as well. They're not together now. It's so many coincidences.
Yeah.
So I said, no, I quite like to though. And then one day, Paul, the drummer, came into the office and said, I need some money. I said, there's no money in the kitty, there's nothing.
Yeah.
He said, do you know anyone who'd buy an old drum kit? So I said, yeah, I'll buy it. How much do you want for it? Because in my head I thought, my brothers could use it.
Yeah.
So he said, 40 quid. And I went, yeah, okay.
That's
I said,
decent
can
for a
you
drum
bring
kit.
It was a lot. It seemed a lot of money at the time.
Yeah.
So I said, can you bring it round to Squat later? He went, yeah. So he brought it in. I said, can you set it up for me? And we had a basement.
Yeah.
Because Joe Strummer lived on the first floor.
Wow.
So everybody used to practice in the basement.
Oh my God.
It was full of horrible carpets and horrible.
Yeah.
And Paul set this kit up and it was red sparkly. So I thought, I'm keeping that.
It's made for me.
So I just thought, I'm going to do it, right? Yeah, exactly. So I sat and played along with Steve on the guitar, and then Joe would pop in and Paul would show me a few things to do. And within a couple of months, Kate and I were playing,
that's
amazing. Like playing old songs together and stuff. And then she said, you know what, we could get some other people. I know a bass player. And so we met Jane, who was a bass player, and she just met Ramona, who was a singer. We were quite a disparate group from all over the place. Yeah. And within about 3 or 4 months, we'd got, the Clash gave us the support.
Oh my God.
And that was it. We were on the road. We were the Mo-dettes.
Yeah. You just kind of fell into it.
I fell into it. That's what you do. And
it's funny when those things start to align, isn't it? Because I think sometimes when you're actively pursuing something, it can feel quite difficult to access those things. But when something just aligns, it's just...
I think most people who are successful at something have just fallen into it.
Yeah.
It's just weird. You can't plan that.
No.
You can say, I hear a lot of kids now, I'm learning drums, I'm going to learn drums.
I'm going to be the best drummer.
But what do you do with that?
Yeah.
You can learn all the paradiddles and all the rolls and all the things you want to learn, all the rhythms, but what are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
there's so much more to it.
It's almost, it sounds like as well you just happened to be amongst that era and the people who...
If it wasn't for that punk era,
Yeah.
that wouldn't have happened.
But the people that you were kind of organically meeting and working
I
with,
didn't
and
even
everyone was
know
kind of
who they
coming
were
up.
or
Exactly,
what they did.
yeah.
You know, I had
was
no
gonna say,
idea.
like, at that point, were they already achieving some success, or were you
Oh,
very much at the start?
completely.
Okay, wow.
No, completely,
Yeah.
because this was towards the end of the Pistols' time.
Right, okay.
Because Malcolm was desperate to make this film.
Yeah.
And the reason he wanted to make it was to show off how he'd done it. It was
Yeah.
like he wanted... The film was actually, made through, like, time frames of I did this, the lessons. It's the lessons on how to form a band
Right.
of these people, make a lot of money,
Yeah.
and fool the system.
Okay.
That was the whole gist
Yeah.
of it. What was fascinating was he was kind of trying to recreate the whole thing within this film. So I got this kind of potted version of it,
Yeah.
and I found that really interesting.
Yeah. So then, when you were in the Mo-dettes and you supported, like,
We
the
started off
Clash
supporting the
and
Clash
Madness,
and
right?
Madness and Susie
So
and
wild.
all
Yeah.
these specials,
Yeah.
Selector. And we
And suddenly you were a drummer.
suddenly I was a drummer. But the weird thing was, I was good.
Yeah.
I was really good at it.
Yeah.
I never lost the rhythm. I
Yeah.
never do. And what I really liked was we were all learning. Jane was a good bass player, but she had a different style. She didn't have a kind of down there bass. It was very trebly. She used a same bass as Paul McCartney, like the little Hofner. So it had a very light sound,
Yeah.
and she would play more melody. So it had a definitive sound about it. And
Yeah.
Ramona had this squeaky Swiss kind of passionate voice, which was great.
So cool.
Kate, she played kind of rock and roll guitar,
Yeah.
kind of whamming it through
Yeah.
it. It was a weird, kind of connection with us all.
Yeah.
But I was afraid to sing, even though I knew I could sing and play. It just
Yeah.
came naturally, like driving.
Yeah.
But I was afraid to sing because I thought, I'm not the kind of singer that would sing in a punk band.
That's interesting.
And like when we were in the studio, I got to sing, and I thought, actually, I can do that. And
Yeah.
it was such a joy to sing in the studio. I still think that's the best thing to do if you're a singer, because it's in that controlled situation. You can hear everything in your headphones, and there's a purity about it. Whereas when you're playing live, you just have to get it
just
out
throw it
there.
out, aren't
Yeah,
you? Yeah.
yeah. So I love recording.
Yeah.
Through lockdown, I was doing quite a few albums here.
Wow.
People just sent me files, and I would do all the backing vocals and
That's
things, and then
amazing.
send it back. I
Yeah.
love doing that
Gosh, that's
because
so
it gives
cool.
you that freedom as
Yeah.
well.
So you left. So the Mo-dettes.
We lasted about
Yeah.
5 years.
Yeah.
We toured. We didn't have any great success in the industry, particularly. They tried so hard to turn us into the next Bananarama or whatever it was, and we resisted that as much as we could. But there gets to a point where you're not earning any money,
Yeah.
and you've got to make that decision.
Yeah.
So Ramona left first. She needed to earn a living, and then when she left, I left because I just thought, if it's not this band, it's not a band at all. And they wanted to bring new people in. They sacked Kate.
Wow.
The record company used to, a couple of times, they got a chap in to record the guitar parts without telling us. Right?
Yeah.
Nothing changes.
That's
nothing changes.
crazy.
It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
So we lost that control.
Yeah.
And I just had enough. But it was like a grief. When I walked away, and it was such a grief. And they wanted to carry on, and I said no. And you can't use the name either because it's not the Mo-dettes anymore.
Yeah. It's like the Sugar Babes. They've changed
Yeah.
so many that it's not the Sugar Babes anymore.
Exactly. It doesn't
The
work.
integrity has gone.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I laid in bed. I had a little flat in East Town. I was
Yeah.
living on my own, and I was laying in bed for a couple of weeks under the covers, thinking, what am I going to do? I've got no identity anymore. What am I going to do? I didn't have the confidence to walk in and play drums for anybody.
Yeah.
And being a woman, it's not something that comes naturally to you when you're a bit younger like that. I was in my 20s, early 20s.
I guess at that time as well, there was less female drummers on the scene.
There were hardly any.
Yeah.
Hardly any at all.
Yeah.
So, I was aware of Karen Carpenter. I did do a job once with a band. I went over with Lover Speaks to LA to record their album with them. And they did that song, I love, what was it, that Annie Lennox did. Okay. I did that original one.
Wow.
That's my line.
Oh my God.
I put that line on.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
but
so
I went
cool.
over to record that in A&M in Los Angeles. And is it Jimmy Iovine? Jimmy, I can't remember.
Jimmy
his name.
Iovine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was the producer.
Wow.
And I walked in and I looked like some, market girl or something. And I walked in and he went, oh, okay. Well, let's hear what you can do. Like, because I wasn't this kind of glamorous. And when I sang, he went, oh my God.
Wow.
He said, hang on a minute. And he took me into the next studio and set this mic up and he said, this is Karen Carpenter's booth and her mic. And I was like, oh my God. I was ready to cry.
Wow.
That was really nice.
God.
So then I was laying in bed and I thought, life's over. What do? Do I go back to college? Because I flunked college the last year because they chucked me out because I was spending too much time playing music. And the phone rang really late one night. It was probably early hours of the morning. And I heard this voice saying, hi, it's Linval from the Fun Boy 3. We're doing an album at the moment and we saw you left the Mo-dettes and we needed a drummer. And I went, oh, don't... I thought he was taking the piss. So I went, oh, ring me tomorrow if it's serious.
Yeah.
It was halfway through the night. So he did.
Yeah.
And I went down straight to the recording studio in North London and they'd recorded the whole album already. They had a girl backing band, but they'd recorded the whole album to a click track because they couldn't find a girl drummer.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I was free.
Wow.
So it was there again, you see.
Yeah.
It just,
serendipity.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I walked in this big old church hall and there was a drum kit in the middle. They said, don't bring a kit, just bring your bits. So I set my stuff up. And they were all in this big glass studio at the end of the wall of the hall. And they said, play along to this. And I remember them playing The More I See. And I don't know if you know that track. It's about some kids going back to Ireland on a plane. And it's such a good song. And it starts with this organ, and then I went, boom. And I could see them all waving their arms behind the glass.
Oh my God.
And they said, oh, great.
Yeah.
Can you play another one?
Yeah.
And so I did the whole album with them.
Wow.
But I went into the control room afterwards, and then this seat turned round from the control desk, and it was David Byrne.
Wow.
He was producing the whole album, and I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, it's quite intimidating. It was
Yeah.
very, very intimidating,
Yeah.
but I thought, I'll be all right, I'll be all right,
Yeah.
I'll be all right. Because I can play, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. But it was the best thing I've ever done because the music was such a rich mixture of styles and to play on. And then I started doing backing vocals for them. And that's when Terry said to me, I want you to sing on Our Lips Are Sealed.
Oh my gosh.
And it just went
Things
from
just
there.
started to flow.
Yeah,
then.
yeah. And I've never stopped working.
Wow.
Never
And then
stopped
you joined the
working.
Communards.
No, I went on to Everything But the Girl after
Right.
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
God, so
Yeah,
many.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was when I met Simon, because I went out with Terry for a bit and we were really close, and then he split up the Fun Boys and went on to the Colour Field.
Right.
And then we kind of fell apart. So I met Simon at a gig. Oh, that was when I got a letter from Ben from Everything But the Girl. It's a really brilliant letter.
Yeah.
We really love you. We want you to join our band.
Oh.
So I went on tour with them.
Wow.
And we did, one of our first gigs was a miners' benefit at the Brixton Academy.
Amazing.
And on the bill was Orange Juice, Aztec Camera, Wooden Tops, all these different great indie bands.
Yeah.
And I knew the drummer from the Wooden Tops, and he introduced me to the band, and they came on tour with us
Amazing.
as our support. And
Yeah.
that's when I met Simon, because he was
Wow.
the guitarist.
God, that's so cool.
So we've been together all that time,
Yeah, wow.
38 years or something.
Wow.
And then I went on to the Communards.
Yeah.
Lots of things in between. I was the 80s drummer. Like, everybody wanted a girl drummer at that time. It
very
was
cool.
great for me.
Yeah.
I was on Top of the Pops every single week with a
That's
different
so
band. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thompson Twins. Oh, yeah, I can't even think who I
Yeah.
worked with. So many different
So
bands.
incredible.
Yeah.
Okay, so hello, June.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
On a scale of shit to together, How are you feeling today?
Today, I always feel quite together.
Yeah.
I know where my weaknesses are, so I would say today probably about 7.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why do you feel that today?
I've just had a huge job of emptying a family house.
Yeah.
So if you can do that
Yes.
and come out the other side,
Still breathing.
yeah. And also, things are really good at the moment. Sun's shining.
It's stunning.
That does a lot.
Yeah.
And I've just had a lot of good affirmation time. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but lots of things have come together lately that have been really lovely.
Yeah.
Mostly my kids,
Mm-hmm.
because I've watched them kind of turn into the most amazing people.
That's amazing.
And we've shared some really lovely times this year.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that feels
Yeah.
really good.
And you have 2 kids?
Yeah,
Yeah.
daughter's 34 and son's 32.
And what do they do?
Georgie, my daughter, is she's actually director at Christie's.
Oh, wow.
She's very artistic, beautiful voice, the most
Yeah.
beautiful voice you've ever heard, but she decided not to do it.
Wow.
Because I think when your parents do something, you don't do it. And my son is in kind of digital media stuff, but at the moment he's gone back to Royal College to do a course
Oh, wow.
while he can, he said,
Lovely.
before he starts families and things like that, because he got married this year to the most
wow.
gorgeous girl.
Yeah.
And she's an artist. We've got another artist
Another
in
one.
the family. No, it's been a lovely year, actually.
Amazing.
And my daughter moved down to Brighton 2.5 years ago, which
Yeah.
is nice. We had a honeymoon period where we saw each other all the time, and now it's all much more
Yeah,
normal,
settled a
but
bit
lovely.
more. That's
And
so
we kind of
nice.
share friends as well, which
That's
is
so
great.
lovely. I think that's what's so lovely about Brighton is that it's very
It was
intergenerational,
I
isn't it?
really wish we'd have moved here sooner. I really do. I mean, we've been here 13, 14 years, but it's gone like a flash, and it's the happiest place I've ever lived.
Yeah, it seems it.
So I try not to do the hard sell, because
Yeah.
I can do that really easily. But I can't tell you
Yeah.
how much fun it is here. It's just so open
Yeah.
and friendly. Everybody seems to smile,
Yeah.
you know?
I also find that you're able to access like the creative groups easier
Yeah,
because it's
much
smaller.
easier, yeah.
And people kind of want to connect a bit more, whereas in London
Definitely.
it's so
Yeah.
like
This road alone, I mean,
Yeah.
we've just lost Nick Cave. He lived
Yeah,
here. Not
yeah.
that that's the biggest thing in the world, but, you know, those kind of people are all here. Like, I met Hugh and David.
yeah.
Hugh's, like, you know Hugh so well from the acting job
Yeah.
and everything, and David's an artist.
Yeah. Okay, so what does having your shit together mean to you then?
Okay. I think it's every day I like to wake up with a plan. It doesn't have to be like big.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is, and that's great. But I just like to get up with things to do every day and
Yeah.
get to the end of the day and feel I've got something done.
Yeah.
Even if it's just tidy up on a bad day, okay? On a good day, it will be go out and do something, you know, cultural,
Yeah.
or work on some stuff that I want to work on.
Yeah.
So I think when you're an artistic person or musical or anything like that,
Yeah.
as long as you're doing something like that every day,
Yeah.
so that's part of your life,
Uh-huh.
I feel safe
Yeah.
and like feel happy about that.
Yeah. Because it sounds like throughout your life it's always been quite sporadic in terms
Very
of
sporadic.
like it's not been one set trajectory, and kind of what we were
No.
saying before in terms of like one job ending and then suddenly you're
Oh
like,
no, you
what's
know
next?
what that's like,
Yeah,
being
yeah,
an
yeah.
actor. You know, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm happy with that.
You just get used to that.
I don't
anxiety
mind that
then.
at all. I think
oh, that's
you do.
quite exciting.
Yeah, I don't think that's a problem. Like some of the things that I have planned, like if I've applied for, you know, I do a lot of writing now, and if I've applied for something and put some writing in, or put one of my films in
Yeah.
to some kind of competition or
Yeah.
whatever it might be, and you always get rejected.
Oh my God.
Always,
Constant,
always.
constant.
But that doesn't hurt.
Okay.
I just think, oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
That means it wasn't my time to do that.
Yeah.
My turn. Somebody else has got it, which is great.
Yeah.
I'm never jealous of anybody that gets anything instead of me. Because thank God everybody gets their turn to do
Yeah,
something
I
if
love
they're
that.
lucky.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Okay. Can you think of an object that makes you feel like you've got your shit together?
Oh, that's interesting. I like my sofa.
Yeah. This very one that we sat on. It's lovely.
It's big.
like a big
big
L-shaped
leather, big leather thing.
Yeah.
Because when we moved into this flat, it's a big room.
Yeah.
It's
How
one
do
of
you
those-
fill it as well?
Yeah, it's hard to fill.
Yeah.
And I didn't want to fill it, but
Yeah.
like you have to have things in scale.
Yeah.
This can sound really bad because it's not the only thing. I tell you what, I can buy a bunch of flowers like in front of you now, and I am the happiest person in the world.
Yeah. That buying flowers makes me feel like I've
I
got my
buy
shit
flowers
together.
every week.
Yeah.
There's a little florist in Sydney Street
Yeah.
in town, and I go there every week. Sometimes I go twice
Oh, I love
because it's
that.
so lovely.
Yeah.
It's like a sweet shop.
And it makes a house feel, it just brightens up a room.
Oh,
doesn't
look at
it?
that. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. And, you know, you put them in all fresh and now they're kind of on their
wilted
way
again.
out, but they look amazing.
What are they?
They're all tulips.
I love a tulip. An
I
underrated
love
flower,
a
I
tulip.
think.
You think of
Roses
you think
are
of those
everywhere.
wonderful, you know, Renaissance paintings with tulips, you know, Tudor paintings,
Yeah.
and it just
They're
gives
gorgeous,
me that
aren't they?
feeling of like, it's not a successful feeling, but it's a contentment.
Flowers make me think of like a woman who.
Do
you know what
they?
I mean? Yeah. I think because growing up, my mum would like buy flowers.
Okay.
Or like my dad would buy my mum flowers,
Yeah.
and then I'd be like sat in the living room, and she'd come in and she'd like do the whole process of changing the
It's
vase
the
and put flowers
process.
in.
You're
Yeah.
so right.
And,
Because
like,
when I
cutting
go there,
them
I
and-
never buy ready-made ones.
Yeah.
I always pick my own.
Oh, okay.
And then bring them back. And the biggest fun for me is to arrange them or rearrange them.
Yeah. Can you tell me about a time in your life where you felt like you really had your shit together?
Never. Nobody feels
Yeah.
that, do they?
Yeah.
If you ask anybody, like, they can have the most successful job in the world and they're not in control. I don't think there is a time that you
Yeah.
ever feel that.
Yeah.
I feel more good days than bad days.
Yeah.
So that's successful,
Yeah.
you know. And I can talk myself out of bad days too.
That's good. Have you always been good at that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can go out in the sunshine.
That's
Or
amazing.
get that other bunch of flowers. Or
Yeah.
talk to my kids,
Yeah.
you know. Go for a nice coffee. That's why Brighton's good. Like,
So I had the
every
most
morning.
amazing
Where did you
croissant
go?
this morning. So I was staying up in Seven Dials.
Oh, yeah.
The flower pot.
Oh, I love the flower
Oh
pot.
my god! I had like a chocolate coconut.
Oh my God.
Pano
Oh
chocolate.
my
Oh my
God.
god! It was to die for.
Right?
It was stunning.
So if you get up every morning and you think,
Yeah.
oh, what am I going to do today?
Yeah.
I know it's costly
Yeah.
to have a coffee and a croissant every day, but that's like my mantra.
But I guess it's just even getting out and just going for a walk
Yeah.
or something. Or
You cannot walk out of this door without talking to 5 people.
yeah, that's lovely.
It's just so good for you.
Yeah, yeah. And has that improved since moving to Brighton?
Completely.
Because you were in London before that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't. I was born in London.
Right.
I lived in the Midlands for 20 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
How was that?
Not cultural.
I don't know the Midlands that well. To be fair.
Okay, so I was in a tiny, I wasn't even in the village. We were on the outskirts of a village.
Yeah.
I'll try and be quick about it because Simon's parents had a great big rambling old falling down house, and it was near to Market Harborough,
Right.
so East Midlands.
Yeah.
And we couldn't find. We had a little house, Victorian house in London when we first met that we renovated, and we had both our kids there. They're both born in the house, and then we couldn't find schools for them. And his parents said, "We've got this little annex. Why don't you move up here and send the kids to the local school?" Simon was so keen to get back to the countryside. He really didn't like East London at all.
Right.
I was desperate to stay there.
You're a
but I
city
thought,
girl.
I'm the only one that doesn't want to go and I can't be selfish,
Yeah.
so I've got to do it.
Yeah.
So we did it. It was hard work for me.
Yeah.
Right through the 20 years, it was hard work for me. But I did meet some friends there that kind of got me and you know...
It's a completely different pace of life, isn't it?
Oh, completely different. And it's all in the car.
Yeah.
You don't walk
Gotta
anywhere.
drive everywhere. Yeah.
You've got to drive, you've got to take
Yeah.
the kids everywhere, you've got to drive everywhere. The nearest pint of milk was 8 miles,
Oh my god.
you know, and you change your way of life. But I'm not a country girl.
Yeah.
I like a pavement.
Yeah.
You know, I want a
Yeah.
coffee shop round
Want a
the
bit of
corner.
smog in
Yeah,
my life.
yeah. So I don't, you know,
Yeah.
I don't want to wear big country boots and wellies. No.
It's what people say when they've lived in the city and they move to the countryside is how deafening silence can be.
I didn't mind the
Yeah.
silence. It was really lovely because it's never silent. You've got the
No.
birds.
Right.
And I love that.
Yeah.
And I love the trees. And I miss that.
Yeah.
I miss the trees. But we happened to choose a flat here that's got a communal garden opposite,
garden's
and the
gorgeous.
trees are lovely.
Yeah.
So that's okay. But it was just a different way of looking at the world up there. There were lots, you know, to go to school there, they had to go to quite a nice school, which was good for them.
Yeah.
You know, it was the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But then you get all the nice people bringing their kids there, and they're not all nice.
Yeah.
They're like
Performative.
very complicated.
Yeah.
And you can't believe what goes on in villages and things like. Oh my god!
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
Everyone knows everyone.
Everybody knows
Yeah.
everything, and they
The
all
gossip,
think.
the
And because
scandal.
we didn't, we weren't like there playing the game with them. If you know, it sounds awful, but it's true. Simon and I were like musicians,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they think you're like drug dealers or something. You know,
Especially being in punk bands and stuff like
I
that.
went to
imagine.
They don't get it,
Yeah, yeah.
and they don't go to the theatre. A lot of them, they don't get.
Yeah.
You know, it's just weird.
Yeah.
So coming here was the best thing we could have done. And it was very random. I mean, I've worked with Jimmy for years, Jimmy Somerville, so he's lived here for years.
Oh, great.
And we visited him a couple of times, came to a couple of parties
Yeah.
of his and stayed with him. And he helped us kind of find this place in a way. So, yeah, we're
Yeah.
really happy now.
It's really lovely. Okay, can you tell me about a time in your life where you felt like you really didn't have your shit together then?
Yeah. It was after Fun Boy 3.
Okay.
Yeah, really bad. I was going through a really bad time. I've been seeing Terry for quite a while,
Yeah.
and then we split up. Very long drawn out split up. He was successfully doing the colour field, writing loads of songs about us and me particularly, and I had to
Yeah.
listen to all that.
Oh my god.
Right?
That don't date musicians, honestly.
But no, you're so right. Although I did marry one, but I was okay with it because I
Yeah.
knew it would have a shelf life in a way
Yeah.
because of his nature.
Yeah.
He's very complicated. We didn't know at the time that he was bipolar,
Right.
and I feel really bad about that in the long run because I should have been a little bit more understanding. But I am
But you only know what you know.
You only know what you
Yeah.
know, and I'm a really one of my failings. Not to me. Well, it is a bit of a failing. Is my pride. I've got a very strong self-pride
Yeah.
thing. So if somebody crosses me,
Yeah.
I don't make a fuss.
Yeah.
I walk away.
Yeah.
Right. And
That's
what-
having boundaries as well, isn't it?
It is
Because-
having
because
boundaries.
The opposite of
No,
that
you're
is letting
right.
someone walk all
But
over you.
he saw it as
Right.
like something completely different.
Yeah.
Like he thought I was being.
Uncaring.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I had to walk away
Yeah.
because he was very successful at the time, and a complicated kind of
Mm.
background, and I knew that if I'd been sucked into that, I would never come out again.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be able to play
Yeah.
or do what I wanted to
Yeah.
do. It's kind of some people like need you as a support
Yeah.
so that you're supporting them all the time. And I'm not a very good supporter.
Yeah.
I'll support everybody doing what they do, like my kids, my family and everything. But if you take away that opportunity to do what I want to do, that's not going to work.
Yeah. But also, if you're pouring yourself into someone else so much, then
Exactly.
you're not tending to your own creativity. Or
Exactly.
anything
This is
like
what I
that.
say to my
Yeah.
kids all the time.
Yeah.
You always find a partner who shares your
Yeah.
dream, not dreams, but what you want to do in life.
Yeah.
So if you're an actor, I don't mean say go out with another actor, but go out with somebody that understands why you're an actor.
Yeah. Or is creative in their own way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Simon and I, we're not joined at the hip. He still plays with the Wooden Tops. He still goes on tours. He still writes his music. He's doing a music MA now
Oh,
up
wow.
at Sussex. So he's
Yeah.
if you're wondering where he is, he's got his headphones on in there in his big fuck off chair. And I do my own thing. And
Yeah.
we've got our own sets of friends too. It's really important.
Yeah.
Really, really
Yeah.
important. If I feel trapped, I'm not very good.
And you felt trapped at that point.
Definitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trapped, well, not because I really loved him, but
Yeah.
trapped in, I couldn't see where it was going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it that helped you kind of find yourself again or get back on track?
Music.
Yeah.
I started playing with Everything But the Girl.
Great.
And they were the backing band were fantastic
Yeah.
friends. They were great. And beautiful bass player, Phil Moxham, who was in Young Marble Giants. You won't know all these bands. But it was great inspiration. We loved playing together.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing when you make space for yourself, the things that kind of come, and creatively, it's when I'm like at my most rich is when I've just come out of some
Listen,
like, a
all the
relationship or
best
something
work
like
comes
that.
out of your angst.
Of heartbreak,
It has
honestly.
to.
Yeah.
All my songs, all
Yeah.
my thing, all my films,
Because you're
everything's
feeling
about
everything.
that. Of
It's
course
like you
you
peeled
are.
your skin off and you're just like...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Isn't every great song a disaster of a love song, you know?
Yeah, definitely. Okay, 3 things that make you feel like shit.
Okay.
Big or small.
They're mostly big things.
Okay.
I hate people who don't have empathy. And that ranges from like people you meet on a bus or a train
Yeah.
to like people on the news, like politics and things
God,
like that.
yeah.
I just can't believe that people can be so cruel. I just don't know where that comes from. Is it a gene? Is it, you know, I know it goes way back and it will go way forward. It will never change. I just don't get it.
It feels like the political time that we're in.
Oh, it's horrible.
And it's like everyone's so disconnected from each other. So
Yeah.
it's very... people are just focused on themselves and see themselves as an island as opposed to like we've
Completely.
lost community
Yeah.
and kindness.
It is that kindness and community that I
Yeah.
really, really worry about.
Yeah.
So the only way to do that,
Yeah.
my answer for that, is to engender that and like be nice to everybody, even if they hurt you.
Yeah.
Be nice to them.
Yeah.
You know, like somebody can be rude to you on a bus. Like I had a bus driver the other day that was impatient because I couldn't find my card, and I said, "Are you all right?" I said, "I'm really sorry that I've held you up, but it's a lovely day though, isn't it?" You know, and you just kind of find out about them. I'm very good at finding out things from people.
I bet, yeah.
And Simon, it drives Simon mad because wherever we go, people tell me their life stories. I'm really happy. I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
I don't
love
want people to latch onto me and like then I'm, I've got to help them all the time because I don't have time to do all that. But I'm really happy to talk to people.
Yeah.
So that's one.
Yeah.
Don't like cleaning.
Okay.
Hate it.
I hate that it's something that we have to do all the
Hate
time.
it.
Yeah.
But I can't get a cleaner.
Yeah.
Because I feel that's like... I can't
Complicated.
I can't do it.
Yeah.
I know it's giving somebody a job.
Yeah.
But I'd rather them...
But it's you making the mess, isn't it? So...
Yeah, and I how could you sit in your house and have someone clean around you?
Yeah.
I couldn't do that.
Yeah, I know. I agree.
But I hate it, and I won't iron anything.
It's the most tedious thing in the world.
Yeah.
The thing that I hate the most is washing socks, white socks, and then having to pair them.
White?
In a white wash. I only wear like white trainer socks. These are actually friends that I stole this morning. But yeah, and so you put them all in and then having to dry them and then pair them. I find it the most tedious thing in the world.
You know what I did?
Go on.
He's not going to like this, but Simon's been trained really well, and he does all the washing.
That's good.
He loves it.
Okay.
But what he'll do, that's one thing I hate as well.
Yeah.
We'll be going out and we'll make plans. Yeah, we'll go out at 12. Okay, we'll go out at 12 for lunch. And at 10 to 12, he'll put a washing load on. And then he'll say, "Oh, we just have to wait for the load so I can hang it up."
Oh my gosh.
Oh my God, that pisses me off. And I've told him so many times, but he still does it.
Yeah.
He's obsessed.
Oh wow. That's quite good though. That's the trick, isn't it?
No, it's great.
The hack to get a partner.
Always teach your sons, your fathers, your husbands, whatever. Teach them how to do stuff.
Yeah.
Right?
So you don't have to.
Yeah. Just say, I know it sounds like controlling, but my son is the most brilliant partner because he cooks and he cleans and he's the
That's
tidiest
amazing.
person
Yeah.
you'll ever meet in your
Yeah.
life. Can't say that about my daughter, unfortunately.
really?
But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I like doing it. I'll have a day where I'll just do it, but all day and clear drawers and
Yeah.
things. I quite like that.
I'm bad at like doing it as I go along.
Oh no, I
It
can't
has
bear
to get
that.
to the point where I'm like,
Yeah.
can't avoid it.
Although
anymore.
saying that, I mean, this place isn't clean. It's always dusty and bright, and you've got the chalk dust everywhere. But everything will have its... I like everything to have its place, and I like things to be symmetrical and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or like staged.
Yeah.
That's my thing. I stage things. They
Yeah.
all laugh at me at Christmas.
That's an
'cause I have
artistic eye,
little-
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People who cook and don't cook well, and I don't mean like a really good meal, but there are some people you go around to dinner and you dread it because they don't put any care into it at all.
Yeah.
How can you fuck up ingredients?
Yeah.
I've got quite a few friends that ask us to dinner and I'm always busy. Because
Really?
why do that when, we're both quite reasonable cooks.
Yeah.
And we have something nice every night. We have something fresh every night.
So why would you choose to go somewhere
Why
average?
would you do that? But how could you mess up?
Yeah.
Like, even
Especially
an
if you're following,
omelette,
like a recipe. Oh, gosh, yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Some people just get no joy out of doing it.
Nothing
don't
at
they?
all.
Yeah.
Because there's so much joy in food, I can't tell you.
Oh,
Like,
God,
I mean,
it's such a
there's so
comfort.
much joy.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just the look of it, like how you place it on a plate and things like that.
Yeah. But I agree, like if I'm cooking something, I'm then dreading the cleaning up after it though.
Well, Simon does that.
Well trained. Well trained. What drew you to like punk then? Because just from what we were talking about before, obviously that was such like a political movement. It
Very
feels like
much
the
so.
times that you
And
were
that's
in.
exactly what drew me.
And that's kind of the time I would say that obviously like Thatcher and stuff like that.
Oh,
is the
completely.
beginning of this kind of separate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very short-lived time. It's
Yeah.
quite unique, really.
And we don't have anything like it anymore.
Well, we do, but it's spread out more.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are still people like that doing stuff, and there is music like that, and thank God. But now it's more out
Saturated.
there, saturated.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's no one kind of movement really. There are like different genres that have all got their own way of doing things. But it was I can't tell you how exciting it was.
Yeah. Such a vibrant time.
Such a vibrant time when you could really get away with anything. And I think working on that film, meeting Julian and meeting Malcolm, that didn't convince me. And even the Sex Pistols were towards the end. But what came out of that, the fact that I could make a band up within 3 months was really unique.
All feels quite DIY, like
Very DIY, but I still have that way of working.
Yeah.
Even now, I won't, I make short films now. I won't make a polished film.
Yeah.
It won't all be perfect.
Yeah.
But
it gets
will
it
be.
done.
It gets it done, and it also takes away what's the word? You see through the veil of like everything being perfect.
Yeah.
Like the perfect shot, the perfect lighting, the perfect place to put the camera, whatever you do. I just want to work in that punk ethic all the time.
Yeah.
So that I remember when I was born in 1955, right? Not long after the war. So there was a shortage of everything, and anything like new was so new. Like I remember I lived in Upton Park at the time, near to the West Ham football ground. And Green Street was a very cultural street, our main street in town. I was literally minutes walk away. And when I went to school, everything was changing because we had black kids at school, we had West Indian and all sorts, from all sorts, and they were all my friends, and like the Indian culture. So it was such a big change.
Yeah.
The whole culture changed in the East End. And it was magical to me. I went round to these people's houses after school and had this amazing food and listened to this music. So everything changed. And my mum and dad were like, they were the typical East London parents who were slightly racist because people were coming in and they didn't understand. And I remember the first black person I saw, I was on a bus with my mum, I was quite young. And I was just staring at this beautiful skin, like glowing, brown, glowing skin, this man. And my mum said, "Don't stare."
Yeah.
And he laughed, this man, and he chatted with me.
Yeah.
And I remember that so vividly.
Yeah.
And then
It's a time of change.
yeah,
isn't
and
it?
then when I was a teenager, I went to a really great school, actually. It was Lister Tech School. So I did pass my 11 plus, but I decided, typical me, decided not to go to grammar school because I thought they were all snobby. So I went to this technical school and had a wonderful time. The art department there was and the music was incredible.
Yeah.
And that was where I first joined a band, actually.
Wow.
A band of lads in the sixth form were all playing music, and they let me sing. I was like, I could only sing 2 or 3 songs, and then every night we rehearsed around one of their houses. I would just sing these 3 songs and then sit down and listen to the rest.
Wow.
They kind of kept me in my place because they just wanted to, go crazy on the guitar and stuff. We didn't have a drummer, and I got a job in Mr. Byright's, which was a menswear shop.
Oh wow.
Because I didn't like girls that much. They're really horrible to you. If you're in any way like insecure about how you look or anything like that, having girlfriends is really hard work. I've got over that now, but I still like hanging out with boys, really. So I remember a couple of good mates that we used to sit on the wall at night after school. You know, you'd sit outside your house or somebody else's house. And I remember at the time, some of these kids who were slightly older than me, there were these girls walking around with nothing on their feet because it was the hippie time.
Right.
And they had all these, you know, the Afghan coats and things like that, but they'd walk around in bare feet. And I couldn't believe that. Gosh. In East London, shitty pavements. And they had bare feet. And that just made me want to go completely the other way. I thought, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. And then when, you know, I met all the kind of punk people, I thought, this is my world.
This is your crowd.
Yeah, and I remember just before the band got together, I went out, it was the Jubilee, 1977. It was the Queen's Jubilee. And there were all those street parties in London. And Julian said to me, I'm going to go and film some of the street parties. Do you want to come take some pictures with me? I said, yeah, great. I've got some good pictures of that as well. And it was so exciting because we were very anti-establishment. And I've always wanted to be anti-establishment. It's where I'm comfortable. You have to question everything. You have
Absolutely,
to. And we had a great time that day. And it really opened my eyes to how it was kind of like a desperate attempt, and I feel that's going on now with the government. There's this desperate attempt it's like the plane to Rwanda is a desperate attempt for status quo, diversion tactics, but they're desperate to keep the status quo. Don't worry, folks, vote for us and you won't have any refugees coming in. Get the fuck out of here, get real, you know? But they will sell that to you, like the bus with the how many millions of pounds on the side, you know. People have got to wake up. I don't know how that's going to happen. Music was a great way for that to happen.
Because I feel like the problem now is that it is that oversaturation. And what was incredible about those times is that it was almost tribal, wasn't it? Like you were a punk or you were a hippie, or
very much so.
And everything was kind of counterculture, but it was also kind of mainstream. Whereas now it's like, because of our phones and because, you know, you would visit London and you would have that scene, but then you'd go to New York and it would be like hip hop and stuff, and it would be a very different scene. Whereas because through our phones we're able to access everything, it's like globally we've all kind of like melted together.
I like it.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Can you I mean, I imagine myself as, you know, a 12-year-old. If you had that access, I'd be in bloody heaven. I'd be in absolute...
Even in the 90s, for example, 12-year-olds dressed very differently from what a 28-year-old would dress like. Whereas now it's all just, everyone's kind of dressing the same.
That's
it's kind
true.
of blended.
Yeah, that's true.
You know?
Is that bad, though? I don't know.
I don't know, but...
You know, my daughter and I wear pretty much the same outfits, you know.
Yeah. But I think just in terms of the mainstreamness, if that's a word, of, like, political counterculture... Like I don't feel like we have that movement anymore in the same way like the hippies or the punks. So it just kind of feels like a lot of people have got apathetic, as opposed to that felt like it was invigorating.
I think it will come.
Yeah,
I really do. I think it is out there. Yeah. I just think it's like you say, it's more spread out now. Yeah. Whereas it was more of a novelty. But it was more of a novelty before. You know, so I joined CND. I joined Workers' Revolutionary Party. You know, I was hungry for an alternative because I love my parents. They were the most wonderful people, but they came from a different culture completely where the world was shut down. It was all about making money. And then when Thatcher came in, my dad was a big Thatcherite, you know, and wanted to make money, buy his own house. And I loved him for that, you know, because
you can't judge someone for that.
No, you can't judge someone for that. But what we would have constant, not arguments, but we'd have constant heated kind of conversations, my family and I, about racism particularly. Because I remember the first boyfriend I took home that was black. Oh my God! I was in sixth form college at school. I had a black boyfriend, Alwyn, gorgeous guy, and we were walking home one night. He was walking me home from school, and my mum was walking across the street. And I went, "Just run." And he went, "What?" I went, "Do as you're told. Just run. Oh, wow. I'll see you later. I'll talk to you later." Because she started shouting at him.
Oh my gosh!
And I thought, I don't want that. And we got in, and she went, "What are you doing? I'm going to tell your father." And I said, "Mum, stop it there. I go to school with these people. They're my friends. I'm going to invite him to tea on Sunday. You judge him for yourself." And that's what I did. And they loved him.
Yeah, of course,
And that was a turning point. And then we got through all that over the years. Now, I mean, they're both gone now, unfortunately, but both my brothers married American girls, both got divorced. Now, one of them is married to a Japanese girl, and the other one's married to a Serbian girl. Yeah. So, and I said to her, all those years you spent angry about those kind of things.
And scared, I guess. Yeah. It's the fear, isn't it, of not knowing.
But that's changed. Yeah. My kids, I love their way of life.
Yeah.
As I said, because we were both musicians, unfortunately, they're really talented, but they've gone, I always say they've got proper jobs.
They've rebelled.
Okay, right, rebelled and got proper jobs. But their life is so amazing.
Yeah.
They travel, they've got amazing friends.
Yeah.
They go to music and film. They use everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
So our generation have created another generation.
That.
Yeah. And like your generation have now got this kind of world where you see through it. Yeah. At least you see through it. Yeah. Okay. So I'm hoping that in 50 years' time, all those fucking politicians that we hate will be gone.
I hope so.
Right?
Yeah.
I'll be gone.
Yeah.
And I just hope and pray that something freshens up and your generation move that on.
Yeah.
Hey, Ant.
Hey.
You do a great job in editing this podcast, might I say. If people like the podcast, what do they need to do?
Like it.
What else?
Follow it on social media.
And then what?
They could share it with every single person they know.
Thanks, Ant. You can go back to your corner now.
Bye.
3 things that make you feel like the shit.
Oh, I love finding a new lipstick.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a red girl.
Yeah, suits you.
But then every time I find one, I will buy like 100 of them. Not really.
Just to make sure that they don't go out of stock.
Yeah. And then they do.
Yeah.
So you have to find another one.
Wow.
And I've been all over the world finding lipsticks.
Really?
Yeah. And when I find one my next one, that's good.
What's your favourite one?
Rimmel.
Rimmel's great, isn't
Rimmel's
it? Rimmel
great.
London.
But I have to get them off the internet or whatever because they still make them some way down the line. They're not good at the moment. They're going through a bad phase.
Oh, God.
I can tell you everything about lipstick. And I've turned into a real girl. I go and have my nails done once a month.
Do you?
Gels!
I love that.
Gels!
My mum started doing that.
If I'd had that, like when I was a drummer, it would have been great because I'm
chipping all the time.
Chipping?
Yeah.
That'd be great when I was a drummer.
Yeah.
When a good piece of music comes on. Okay. So if I do wake up and I think, a bit flat today, there's 2 songs I can put on. There's lots, but there's 2 particular songs I can put on which I will dance around the whole place and feel so good. Okay, so one is Stevie Wonder, Signed, Sealed, Delivered.
Amazing.
The best intro in the world, right? Best drum beat in the world. And the other one is Rapture, Blondie.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Wow.
Have you heard the whole of it?
No, I don't think so.
She raps in it.
Oh,
right?
love that for her.
It's the best track ever.
Yeah.
So if I put either, there's so much music I love, and I love all the new stuff out. We go see new bands all the time. I love it, but those 2 tracks will get me high.
That's amazing. Yeah.
I think I just phone an old mate and just like for an hour. Yeah. Because I've got so many friends and they're all so spread out now. I'm very fussy about girlfriends. I don't have many best friends. Because I think you can only have so many and then it's kind of hard work to keep them all going. Yeah. And you can't give them your best. Yeah. So I have got 3 lifetime friends, girlfriends. One's Olive, and she's 10 years older than me, and I met her when I got my first flat in East London. Wow. I was living with Jim at the time. And they were funny little flats, one up, one down. And next door, she always had her windows open, and on a Sunday morning, she'd always put show tunes on and sing at the top of her voice. And I thought, Jim would, oh God, she's singing again. I love it. It's great. So one day I went out and she had a little moped, and I caught her starting up her moped, and I went, you're the singing lady. And she went, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I went, no, I love it. Yeah. I'm going to sing with you next time.
Oh my God, amazing.
And we've been friends ever since.
You're good at making friends with your neighbours.
Easily. And she's like my sister. Wow. She's like a sister to me. Another one is Jeanette, who I met. She now lives in Newcastle, who I met through Simon. She was Simon's roadie's girlfriend. Yeah. And they split up, and she's had many incantations since then, whatever you want to call it. But she's still my best friend. Wow. But we don't see each other very often. And to have an hour on the phone with her is like the best prize.
Nourishing.
Yeah.
Just being known so well by people, isn't it?
you can't make that up. You can't buy that. You can't. This is what I say to people when you've got a friend like that.
Yeah.
A friend for life
Yeah.
is it's the best thing you could
Yeah.
ever have.
Yeah.
Give me anything else. No, that's what I want.
I love that. Okay, something that makes you lose your shit in a positive and a negative way.
A good film. Like I love to go on my own mostly
I love going to the cinema on my own.
because I don't want to think
Yeah.
about anybody next to me or what they think of it.
That is what I say.
Yeah.
Because I think because I'm empathetic, if I go with someone, I'm worrying that they're having a good time.
Yeah.
what
Or they're
thinking of
shuffling
it.
around or
Yeah.
something.
And I'm like, well, they hate it, and I
Yeah.
feel like I should hate it. What am I missing? Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
I like just being on my own.
I think it's just the focus.
Yeah.
You know, when I book cinema seats, I'll always book them somewhere where I know not many people will sit.
Okay.
So that I can sit on my own.
Yeah.
I just want to get lost.
Yeah.
I don't want to sit where there's lights on the side, so your vision's like drawn to the lights. I don't want to go somewhere anyone's eating. I went to the Marina cinema, I don't know what it's called, to watch something the other week with Hugh, funnily enough.
Yeah.
And there were people eating from the beginning to the end.
I find it wild that popcorn is the food of choice because it's so
But
loud.
it's not just that, it's everything.
Yeah.
They have burgers in there, they
Oh,
have like
God.
hot dogs or something, and it stinks.
Yeah.
And they're slurping all the time.
Yeah.
And so everybody's on their phone. I don't want to go to that cinema.
That's
Hugh
weird.
loves it.
Yeah.
Because it's cheap.
Ah,
But I won't go there.
no.
I'll go to Picture House and
I
I'll
love a
go in
Picture
the middle
House.
of the day
Yeah.
when nobody,
Yeah.
no, not many people go. So that is my idea of
Yeah.
heaven. That will like keep me going for
Have you seen any films that you've loved recently?
I have. I loved Anatomy of a Fall.
I've heard amazing things. I've not seen it yet.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So clever. So
Yeah.
good. Brilliant acting. It's great narrative. I
Yeah.
loved it. I saw things I didn't like. I just saw Poor Things.
You didn't like it?
Didn't like it.
Okay, interesting.
I had my doubts about his stuff. I had my doubts about what he wants to do, what
Right.
he's trying to say, what he's trying to make. Beautiful visuals.
Yeah.
I mean, and I love that because I've got a switch and I'm into my games,
Yeah.
right? So that to me was like sitting watching a
Yeah,
game. I
yeah.
felt I should have been working it
Oh,
because it's
cool.
so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's almost like 3D. It's so vivid. But what is it with all this kind of porny stuff? I still feel uncomfortable with that.
Yeah. It's weird how numb we've kind of become to it as a society.
I know, like, you should have that. I know it should be okay because everybody's got a right to do that. And if Emma Stone wants to go and be naked on
Yeah,
screen,
yeah.
she's got that right to do
Yeah.
that. To me, I still feel uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's not so much the nakedness; it's how he's manipulating that body consciousness of hers. Like, and it just makes me feel a bit creepy.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of it.
It's such an odd thing being an actor and that just being like an expected norm now. That
Yeah.
you might have to
Yeah.
at some point take your clothes off.
Yeah, I was when I was coming up to my 50s and we were still living in Northamptonshire, and I'd had enough of no culture, so I decided I'd never been to university because I got chucked out of my college when I played music, and my kids have, Simon has, and I thought I want to do that.
Wow.
Because I'm a little bit when you're brought up in the East End, and I had a good education only by luck, and because the subjects that I like were well taught.
Yeah.
But I wasn't very. Simon laughs at me. He says I'm teacher's pet. I like school. I really like school. I like
You like
learning.
learning,
I
yeah.
love learning. I'm curious, but only to a certain extent. So I thought that when I was that age, I thought uni was that. Nobody told me I could go to uni. Nobody at my school said, "Oh, have you thought about going on to further education?" Nobody ever said that. You didn't at that time, right?
Yeah.
I was going to be, the best I could be was a teacher. So when I got, as I said, I got in coming up to my 50s, and I thought, yeah, I think it's time for me to go to university. And I thought, well, I'm going to have to do an art subject. So I chose fine art. I thought, at least that encompasses all kinds of
Yeah.
things. And so I thought, right, I'll have to apply. And I thought, well, I'll start at the top and work down. So I applied to St Martin's. And I got in on a handful of life drawings.
Oh my god.
And I think they were just filling the quota.
No.
With, like, you know,
That's amazing.
yeah.
Wow.
So I was the mature student.
How was that going back to
Really fucking hard work.
Yeah. How long was the course?
Well, it was 3 years, but I did it
Wow.
part-time over 5 years.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a long time, but it chewed me up and spat me out. It really did.
Yeah.
It was really scary. Not that I didn't have the confidence to do it. Being a musician all your life, you have a certain amount of, you're a performer and you've got that confidence.
Yeah.
And you can talk to anyone. I've
Yeah.
always been like that.
Yeah.
Once I was that way, it took me a long time.
And resilience,
get
I
there.
guess, as well, because you
And
get knocked
resilience.
back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that floored me. You go in, and I went in as a painter, came out as a filmmaker.
Wow.
Which is fantastic. That's great.
How did you even do that on the course?
Well, because they don't let you go in and be comfortable.
Right,
You
okay.
can't go in there and paint just a pretty picture. They don't want you to do that. They want to pull the rug out, throw it around a bit. So I had a lovely head tutor. And then you go to different classes and different things, and you have different tutors for different projects and things. And some of them are shit. They really are. Because I'm going to be... Because some of them are a little bit failed, but they've got something to prove.
Yeah.
So when they teach, and you've got all this respect for them, oh my God,
Of course, yeah.
they know everything.
Hierarchy.
And I love people that know stuff, right? That's why I look for friends that have, like Hugh, people like that, who've got, they tell
Wisdom.
me stuff, wisdom, yeah. I love older people for that, you know.
Yeah.
So I went in there, and the first year wasn't too bad, and then they kind of shake it up. And they question, and the crits, it's the crits. And you've also got younger people than you think you're this old fart, and they give you shit, right? So the tutors give you shit about your work, the youngsters give you shit about your work, and I used to go home and cry.
Oh my God. I don't
And I was nearly 50, and I can't do it.
Well, 'cause it's
they
so-
don't like my work. I don't know what to do. What do they want?
Yeah.
What do they want? And so I used to say, just don't take it personally.
Yeah.
But it is
It's
personal.
so hard. I guess if you haven't experienced that before as well. So going to drama school is kind of a similar thing where you're going in and it's art and creativity are so
But
vulnerable.
why do they have to make it so brutal?
Because they teach with shame, don't they? Like a lot of these institutions.
I don't get it.
I disagree. I don't think that's how
I
learning should
think,
happen.
yes, if they're critiquing your work,
Yeah.
that's different. But they're
criticising you.
They're criticising
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I had the nudity thing as well.
Yeah.
Because there were young people, lovely people on my course. I still talk to them. And there were these two young girls. They're gorgeous. But the only way they knew how to express themselves was to get their kit off. We've been there, done that, love.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah.
And in a studio situation where they're sitting, one of them was sitting in a corner with a piece of glass in front of her with a fanny on show. And we had this male tutor who I knew was fucking enjoying it.
Yeah.
And we were just all sitting there quiet watching her, and I thought, I can't do this.
Oh my
I was cringing.
Yeah.
It's like having my daughter sit there doing it. And I was cringing, and I went, can she put her clothes back on now?
Yeah.
And he fucking ripped my head off.
Yeah.
Get out of my class.
Wow.
I said, I've got an opinion.
Yeah.
No, this is a crit. I went, that's my crit.
Yeah.
This is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Can we not discuss that?
It's complicated, isn't it? Because it's like it's that line between empowerment and people taking
Yes.
ownership of their bodies and stuff,
Yes.
but then also like how much of
I
that
could
would
see
be
her
there.
uncomfortable. I
Yeah.
felt that.
But how much of that would be there if it wasn't also a societal expectation that women have to do this constantly? And that's like the constant question that's in my head is like, you know, yeah, maybe a woman wants to take her clothes off in a film and that's great, but also would she be doing that if there wasn't also the expectation that she ought to be doing that?
Exactly.
It's so complicated.
It is complicated.
Yeah.
I agree with you. And that's what really bugs me
Yeah.
about that. And I'm, you know,
Yeah.
I kind of feel like I'm being prudish when I feel like that. But does empowerment of a woman mean that she has to show all of her body?
Yeah.
Is that the only way she can do it?
Yeah.
Because I don't think that's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. It is. It's such a head fuck.
It is a head
Yeah,
fuck.
yeah.
Are we going to get through that?
I don't know because, yeah, I want to empower women and I want to support any decision that women make, but sometimes it feels like it's because of the lens that's been put on women. I mean, I'm wearing this jumper that says
I love it. I
female
know.
gaze.
First thing I noticed, I know.
Yeah, but I'm constantly having to question how much of it is actually your choice or whether you think it's your choice, but actually there's someone pulling the
But
strings
there's ways
behind
of doing it. I mean, I watch TV all the time.
Yeah.
Right? I
Yeah.
watch films. I watch it. It's my thing. I love that box, and I love that it shows me things.
Yeah.
The colours and the music and the language.
Yeah.
right, but you can watch, there's a lot of drama on at the moment, there's some good stuff on. And there, of course there's nudity, because people write about love affairs or relationships or whatever it is, and that's fine in the context.
Yeah,
Okay?
if it's integral to the story.
If it's integral to the story, but do they have to show you inside a fanny particularly? Or, you know, like, it makes me laugh, because it's so rare to see a willy,
isn't it?
on screen, that when you do, you laugh.
Feel a bit shy.
Yeah. Oh, you're not supposed to see that.
It's mad.
But how come we can see fucking fanny all the time?
Yeah, it's crazy. It is crazy. Well, I think we've found the thing that makes you lose your shit.
It does make me sound like an old prude though.
Not at all. A moment that you found some shit out about yourself.
Oh, I think when my dad died.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was really good mates with my dad. He was very old-fashioned when I was a kid. I worked away a lot. I was always left with my mum and my brothers. And I kind of held it together then. I was quite the grown-up. I was always the grown-up. Because my mum always had a saying, oh, it's my nerves.
Yeah.
Okay. So she had problems.
Yeah.
And a lot of it was to do with my dad not being there. And I sometimes used to think my dad got work away just so he could escape it.
Have a break.
And I don't blame him.
Yeah.
But we were kind of stuck with it. So I used to make my younger brother sleep with her at night, because she always wanted someone to sleep with her. Right. So I used to not make him, but I used to say, no, you go in. I don't want to do that. You go in.
Yeah.
So later on in life, Dad and I used to talk about that a lot. Him going away, about his family. He had a terrible time. He grew up without a mum. And his dad abandoned him, and he had a big family, and they all were doing their thing. He had a bad time. So to know that he was the most amazing dad, and he truly was. I can remember he smacked me 3 times in my life, and I don't mean like beat me up. I mean like smacked me when I was a kid.
Disciplined.
And he disciplined me.
Yeah.
But only because he worried about me, and that's how I feel about my kids. I never stop them doing anything apart from staying safe. That's all I'm worried about, because you're still a mum, however old your kids are.
Yeah.
But as we grew old, we both grew older together, me and Dad, he was so funny. Everybody, and I mean everybody, loved him. His name was Arthur, and everybody called him Arthur. Everybody, neighbours, friends, family, everybody, even our grandkids, even his grandkids called him Arthur.
Aww.
Everybody called him Arthur. And he was the most generous man and genuine man I've ever met in my life. So it's quite hard for me growing up, because I've had a lot of partners, and you don't compare them, but you use it as a gauge.
Yeah.
You know,
I did this with my dad. Yeah.
Okay? It's difficult, isn't it?
When you have something so great, and you know what it can look like.
Exactly.
Anything that falls short.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And boy, do they fall short.
Yeah.
And they don't for a while. So you have to go through the process, don't you? And I've been through quite a lot of process. But I love that about him. And I think when he went, I was sitting here on the sofa, and my mum had Parkinson's really badly. So she didn't last much longer after him. But he died suddenly from his heart. And my mum called me up, and I used to go out to it. They were in Essex, and I used to go out a couple of times a week to see them. I did everything for them. I loved it. I loved putting back what they gave. They gave me a lot. And Mum rang, and she went, the ambulance is here. And I went, oh, what have you done now? Because she was always falling over. No, it's your dad. I went, woof, cold. What's wrong with Dad? I don't know, he's in the other room, they're working on him. I said, what do you mean working on him? I'm rising panic. And she said, oh, I don't know, but they won't let me in. I said, can I talk to them? She said, no. I said, all right, put the phone down. I'll sort it out. And I phoned the neighbour next door, who was a friend.
Yeah.
I said, please, will you just pop in there and see what's happening? Yeah, of course. Yeah. 10 minutes later, she phoned. She said, I'm sorry, he's gone. Oh. And that's how I learned about him going. And I found out that you can, I don't know how to say it. I went feral. I ran around this room screaming.
Yeah.
I was banging things. Simon didn't know what to do with me.
Yeah.
And I've never felt that in all my life, that depth of feeling that rises in you.
Yeah.
And it's uncontrollable.
Yeah.
that was a big learning curve for
Yeah.
me. And it changed my life, because there are certain times when you do have things like somebody's ill, or you hear a bad thing about somebody, or somebody dies, and I get that feeling again in the pit of my stomach that I never knew I had.
Yeah.
It's really hard. I think as you get older, it gets worse, because so many people I know have died in the last few years. People from my era, musicians, people that I knew.
Yeah.
And so I've learned, I've got to live with that.
It's grief is so complicated, isn't it? Because whenever I've learned that someone's passed away, I almost like, my initial is like almost to laugh, because it's so hard to compute that, and then I judge myself for that. But it's because for me it takes a few days.
It's a shock.
Yeah, but like from what it sounds like with your dad, you were so not expecting it,
No,
and then for
that
him
was the
to
worst
be
bit.
such a huge part in your life, and you've been robbed.
I'll tell you what
of-
happened though. So
Yeah.
I said to Simon, we've got to go right now. I called my brothers. I had to tell them. They were near us, so they went. And I said to them, don't let them take him away until I've seen him.
Yeah.
I couldn't let him go without seeing him for the last time.
Yeah.
And all this was going through me.
My God.
So Simon drove, and I was literally shaking the whole way.
Yeah.
And it took nearly 2 hours to get there. And it had got dark, and they live in this little bungalow. And as we parked, I looked in the window of the bungalow, and my dad was lying on the floor, covered up to his chin on his chest with this yellow sheet that my mum had got out. And on the sofa, I laugh now, because it was like a bloody play. It was like a farce. I walked in, and my mum went, there she is. And she was, because she'd lost her mind with her Parkinson's. And there was a very, very tall young policeman and a very short policewoman sitting either side of her, looking at scrapbooks of me with all my photos in
my
bands and
gosh.
things. There she is. She's the pop star. That's all she was worried about.
Wow.
I thought, well, at least she's not
Yeah.
worrying about Dad.
Yeah.
And I said, can you... The two undertakers were in the kitchen waiting to take him. They'd waited for me.
Yeah.
And I said, can you take him in the bedroom? They went, we don't want to move him again. I said, okay. So I lay down on the floor with him. It was the other end of the living room, not very far, and held his hand for 10 minutes. And all I could think of was sorry.
Yeah.
But I had that.
Yeah. Yeah. Gosh, I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad you got that time with him. Yeah.
There's not a day, though, I don't talk to him.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd be like that. Because you lose a lot of people in your life, and I am a coper, and you do... I'm very good at working things out quickly,
Yeah.
like you laughing
Cognitive,
about
yeah,
it,
yeah.
and you're like it too. You're empathetic, so you kind of know what to say.
Yeah.
But when it's you, it's another thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know.
I've spoken to a lot of people about grief on this podcast, but this is the first time that I've like felt emotional, because the way that you're describing your relationship with your dad is very similar to mine. And I just think if that something like that was to happen to me, I'd react exactly the same way.
Yeah.
I'd be absolutely lost without him.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
It's a really special thing being close to your dad.
Yeah.
Because when I grew up, dads weren't like, all my friends' dads weren't like that.
Same.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
Because dads like go out to work, or they've got this kind of, not a control, but they're like controlled
Quite
in a way.
patriarchal as well.
Yeah, I mean, Dad was never really like that. He was,
No.
I think, because we socialised, you know, because since I was a kid, I told you we would all go out at weekends with them. They wouldn't leave us behind.
Yeah.
We'd go with them when we knew all their
You're in
friends.
a group.
you
Yeah.
know, and still know them now.
Yeah.
And so we'd always socialise together. We'd go on holidays together.
Yeah.
You know, we were really, really lucky.
It sounds amazing that you had him and the relationship that you had together.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And I know I'm like him.
Yeah.
And that gives me a lot of pleasure.
That's amazing.
Even like my hands. And Simon laughs because when I'm thinking about things, I put both my hands in my pockets and jiggle whatever in there. And he went, all right, Arthur. And I love that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm happy to
He's
be
still
like
with
him.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Okay. Shittest piece of advice you've received?
I don't listen to advice.
Yeah.
Even now, if somebody, oh, well, you know what you should do? I will immediately shut off because I'll do what I want to do.
I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so
I guess the career that you've had, you probably had to go against people's opinions so much anyway. And
I think I was lucky because I think, you know, I have got a certain amount of natural talent in it. And if you've got that, that gives you a certain amount of self-confidence.
Yeah.
Even though you know you're up against people who are better.
Yeah.
Or people that don't think you're good. If you know your worth, if you know what your level is, that's the best thing you can have.
Yeah.
I'm not the best drummer in the world, but I'm good.
Yeah.
And I'm constant.
Yeah.
And I'm nice to work with. So
that's the biggest part of it, isn't it? Yeah.
You don't want to go in there and be a diva or a shit.
No.
Everybody that's ever worked with me has said it's been great working with you. What more can you ask for?
Yeah.
And that does mean biting your lip sometimes. But I don't think that's a bad thing.
No.
Because what's going to happen, you're going to bring it all up. I know so many people that upset people. Just, you know, I could say to you now, this is a shit podcast.
Yeah.
And that would destroy you. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
You know, it's not. But like...
Your way of telling me, I'll leave now.
You know, like, okay, for instance, like Simon's working on some music
Yeah.
at the moment and I've been singing on it for him. And I know how to do that. I can do that with my eyes closed and like I know how to set it out.
Yeah.
I know how to record it. But he's finding his way through it. So I have to kind of let him find that way.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, you know, this is better if you do it like this. Because how is he going to
It's not
feel about
equipping
that?
someone either, is it?
No,
Yeah.
it's not right, is it?
Yeah.
I never told my kids how to do things like that. Maybe they say something different. Oh, but the one good thing I will say, I think I was like, because I grew up with brothers and an amazing dad. I like boys, I like men. I get them.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a simplicity to
That's
them.
the best thing you can learn. That's the best thing you can learn if you're a girl.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
They are simple.
Yeah.
Right? So when I was playing like in big venues and you turn up, drummers are always the first to sound check. So you walk out there, you are laid bare.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah.
In a huge hall with all these acoustics and you will hear your drumming and your singing coming back at you raw. Okay?
Yeah.
That's hard.
Yeah. It's brutal.
What do I play? What do I sing? And they won't ask you to do a song. Oh, just play a beat or sing something.
Yeah.
So you have to just do something.
Yeah.
And I quite enjoyed it because there's a certain amount of power there. Playing the drums is powerful.
Oh, it's so cool.
And you're playing in a hall that seats or holds 3,000 plus people or whatever. That's a lot of power. It's amazing. And when that's filled up, it's like nothing on earth.
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
It's the greatest feeling.
Yeah.
When you do a good gig, there's nothing like it.
Oh my God.
But I nurtured my roadies, I nurtured my sound guys, I nurtured all the crew because they're the ones that make it happen, right? If they're not happy, the band are not happy. You can't, oh, he's an arse, you know. People,
Yeah, exactly.
like, you know, if they're no good, then get rid of them. It was like, no, I won't say that because they might know who they are. But I've worked in bands where certain players, certain musicians are not pulling their weight or they're drinking a lot or they're taking a lot of drugs. I just put the word in and I just say, you know, do you want to pay somebody that much to have somebody doing that? They're going to be a weakness, right?
Yeah.
So you get rid of them.
Yeah.
That's my way of doing it. You know, get someone in that really wants to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
And
together.
there's
Because it's
gratefulness
a job.
there, yeah.
It's a job. People are paying a lot of money. But one of the best... So I never had that trouble with support bands or crew or anybody thinking I was a woman first. They didn't treat me like that.
Yeah.
Except I had a drum roadie for years, Alan, who's amazing from Newcastle, and he would never eat. He'd only have a liquid lunch.
Oh, wow.
Never a liquid lunch. But he was a lovely guy, and he really, really looked after me.
Yeah.
And he would set my drums up exactly how I wanted them. I'm very particular. Exactly how I wanted them. The seat exactly where it should be. And then he'd put a little vase of flowers on the floor, Tom.
A nice touch.
I mean, they wouldn't do that for a guy, would they? I thought it was hilarious. I loved
sweet.
it. But one of the best gigs I'll ever remember. I mean, I've done festivals and things. You know, Glastonbury. They've been the best things ever because it's wild. looking out on that crowd. It's wild.
How do you come down after that?
It takes a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would you want to?
Yeah, true.
That's why people take drugs or drink afterwards. I mean, what else are you going to do? Which I don't do. I've never done drugs because I still think I don't like being controlled by anything.
Or being out of control.
No.
Yeah.
If I'm doing that job, I want to be completely... It's like you want to know everything that goes on at your fingertips.
Yeah.
You know, it's so important. Then you can really enjoy it. I mean...
And you can be present with it.
Present, exactly that. I mean, one of the best gigs I ever did was we did a week in Paris at the same theatre. 6 or 7 nights in a row. That's a lot. To fill up that huge theatre, that's a lot every night. But we did it. I mean, they had a good fan base. Yeah. But Parisians are notoriously difficult to please.
Yep.
But there were 2 nights in particular that were so... You just know... There are levels. I think you must feel that... Imagine you're doing like 10 takes on something. You know when you've done a good one.
Yeah.
You just know instinctively. That's what it's like when you
like
play.
Let go a little bit and everything comes together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's the same when you're playing music. Not every gig's good. Some are like mediocre, some are like...
And you're in your head kind of commenting on it.
But there were 2 nights, one in particular, I came off that stage and I just cried with joy.
Wow.
And that night, a postcard came back, sent back, people sent things back.
Yeah.
And it was... What a wonderful night I had. What a fantastic band you are. You were amazing.
Oh my
Rutger Hauer. Do you know him?
No.
Oh my God. Do you know Blade Runner?
Yes.
Okay, you know the blonde
Yes.
robot in it? That's Rutger Hauer, the
way.
actor. Yeah. And I was like so
Oh my
knocked
God.
out. Still got that. Amazing.
Wow, incredible.
Yeah. I've had some great moments.
Yeah.
I mean, some funny. Met so many people.
Yeah, I bet.
So many big stars, you know. It's exciting. I mean, you know, it's good. But what I love is I love feeling like I'm on the edge of it. And that's what's great about being a drummer, because you're sitting at the back.
And you can lean in and you can
lean in or out.
Yeah.
And you can... I used to take photographs everywhere. That's my next film. I'm going to put everything together about being a girl drummer. And you're at the back and you're and also being the main beat, you're in control, but you're also kind of shut off from what's going down the front, and it's like watching the gig.
That's so cool. Yeah.
You got the best of both worlds.
The best view.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, shit you wish you'd known sooner.
Oh, well, when I was a kid, I wish I'd known that I was going to have more confidence and be really good at something. And I kind of grew up in a family that I knew I would have my own family eventually. I mean, I had them quite late, but that was quite nice. So I was kind of sorted in my head like that. I was very secure in my family and with my friends, so I didn't need anything like that. But what I wish I'd known sooner, I just wish... I wish I'd gone to university, actually. Really? Although I probably wouldn't have done what I'd done. Yeah. But now I've been through that system and I realise what it gives you, and it does take a lot from you, like we talked about, but what it gives you is this curiosity about everything. Yeah. And I know so much more now. Don't know hardly anything, but I know so much more. I know more about art, I know about music, I know about theatre, I know about all the things that I love.
Exposure to things, isn't it?
It is exposure to things that you don't get when you're younger. Yeah. And you don't know how to do that when you're younger. My only exposure was to go in the library and read everything I could possibly read. Yeah. But you never know. Some people have never been to the theatre. I know. How could you not experience that? Yeah. Or even live music. Yeah. How could you not experience that? Yeah.
Because for me, those are the things that like elevate. I mean, we saw it in COVID, didn't we? When we lost everything.
God.
It was art that people were clinging to. Yeah. It's the thing that, elevates you and takes you out of... Yeah.
And also, just learning new words every day, even things like that. Yeah. I wish I'd known more then. I felt my world was going to be small, but I think once I'd got to sixth form, I thought, I'm going to get out of this small world. That's what I wanted to do. Yeah. It took a long time and a lot of courage, but I think that's what you have to aim for, is just to enjoy what you've got. I mean, you've got your family, you've got your around you, you've got where you come from. You know, I love where I came from.
Yeah.
And I
Makes
kind of
you who you are.
Yeah, it really does. You can't leave that behind. You can't pretend that didn't happen. All of the bad things that happen to you make you who you are, and you can't leave them behind. So you've got to get up and go and get up and go.
Well, it sounds like one of your strengths has kind of always been your curiosity.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I think, you know, someone would have been offered a drum kit and would have said no.
Yeah.
And, you know,
why did I do that? Exactly.
Even get into however old you were when you went back to university, like a lot of people would be scared of that as opposed to curious.
That's what my dad taught me.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to do something, just go out and do it.
Yeah. Okay, we're at the point of a shit shot. So that is a photo, if you could think of one, that to the outside eye looked like you had your shit together, but at the time you definitely didn't.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, there's lots of those. I did a solo single on Go Discs just after I split up with Terry.
Yeah.
Terry was a big thing in my life.
Yeah.
A real turning point because he taught me so much about music. We wrote some stuff together and sung a lot of stuff together and had fun. He's very funny and very so talented. When you meet a person who's talented like that, I mean, you know, I know I've got part of that in me too, but when you meet somebody like that, they're like this kind of, it's like a glowing thing.
Yeah.
And you can get so much from them. You know, even Hugh's like that.
Yeah.
Like, he knows.
You just want to be in that orbit. Don't
Yeah.
you? Yeah.
Exactly
Yeah.
that. And when we split up, I felt absolutely bereft. It was my choice, and I knew what I was doing, and it was I knew it was going to be fine. But at that time, one of my brothers was getting married.
Yeah.
And Terry and I went shopping in Manchester. We spent a lot of time in Manchester, and he bought me this dress to go to my brother's wedding. He was coming with me.
Right.
And then it all happened, and I went to my brother's wedding in this dress. It was a black dress.
Yeah.
With pearls and a short bob, and there's this picture of me sitting on my brother's sofa, and I look like death warmed up.
The funeral of your heart.
Exactly. And every time I look at that, I laugh because I think,
God.
oh, idiot.
Yeah.
But that's what we do.
Wow. Okay. June, have you got your shit together?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Just about.
No, I do feel like I have.
Well, you said that from the get-go.
Yeah, no, I do feel like I have.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can prove me wrong all the time. Everybody proves me wrong all the time.
But it's the feeling, isn't
I
it?
do have an inner peace.
Yeah.
It's a turmoil inside
Of course.
all the time.
Yeah.
But I have a way of controlling it.
Yeah.
I do know how to control it.
That's amazing.
And I can help anybody that needs help. And that's having your shit together.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
I loved it.
Yeah.
You're so lovely.
Thank you.